TCM.com/festival.
Hello, I'm Ben Mankiewicz. You're watching TCM, where you have joined us for the back half of tonight's Jon Voight double feature. Beginning his career on the stage, Jonathan Vincent Voight worked his way up from theater and small parts on network television shows to become an A-list Hollywood star with 4 Oscar nominations and a win for Best Actor for his 1978 performance in Coming Home. Up next, the movie that set Voight on a course for stardom, the film that earned him his first Oscar nomination. It's from 1969, directed by John Schlesinger. Voight stars opposite Dustin Hoffman in Midnight Cowboy. Voight is Joe Buck, a Texas transplant in New York with hopes of becoming a gigolo, paid escort for well-to-do women. In his attempts to become a hustler, Joe gets hustled himself by a small-time con artist named Ratso Rizzo. That's Dustin Hoffman. An unlikely friendship then emerges between these two lonely outsiders. Jon Voight had wanted to work with John Schlesinger after seeing the director's 1962 film, A Kind of Loving. In fact, after leaving the movie theater, Voight wrote down Schlesinger's name on a piece of paper, saying to himself, I have to work with this guy. Casting director Marion Doherty helped make that dream come true. Doherty had previously worked with Voight, lining up TV roles for him. She set up a meeting with Voight and Schlesinger, even though another actor, Michael Sarrazin, had already been cast as Joe Buck. Now, there are varying stories as to why Sarrazin did not end up with the part. Perhaps he asked for too much money, or maybe Universal, which had Sarrazin under contract, asked for too much money to release him. What we do know is that Sarrazin did a screen test with Hoffman, already cast as Ratso. Reportedly, when Marion Doherty, John Schlesinger, and Dustin Hoffman watched the tests of both Jon Voight and Michael Sarrazin, Hoffman said, when I look at my scene with Michael Sarrazin, I look at myself. When I look at my scene with John, I look at John. Controversy swirled around Midnight Cowboy because the MPAA slapped the film with an X rating. More on that after the movie. The rating, which was changed a couple of years later, didn't stop the film's success. It became the only film with an X rating to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. Here it is, from United Artists in 1969, Midnight Cowboy. I want to mention a couple of supporting actresses who you just saw in Midnight Cowboy. Sylvia Miles earned an Oscar nomination for her performance. And then there's a great friend to TCM, Brenda Vaccaro, as Shirley, the girl in the fur coat. Brenda was simply amazing. Based on a novel by James Leo Hurley, Midnight Cowboy became the only film to date with an X rating to win the Oscar for Best Picture. The rating was changed to an R in 1971 for the film's re-release. Before its original release, the MPAA first gave it an R rating, but Arthur Krim, head of United Artists at the time, began having doubts. Krim unwisely consulted with a psychiatrist whose ideas about gay people were antiquated and quite insane. The psychiatrist believed the film should have an X rating because of its, quote, homosexual frame of reference, fearing that the picture might make young audience members gay. Because that's how that works. United Artists leaned into the controversial rating in its marketing. An early ad for the film stated, whatever you hear about Midnight Cowboy is true. The controversy surrounding the film seemed to draw in curious viewers, and Midnight Cowboy became one of the biggest moneymakers in 1969. Picked up 7 Oscar nominations, winning 3, including Best Director for John Schlesinger, Best Adapted Screenplay for Waldo Salt, and Best Picture. Coming up, this week's trip to Noir Alley. Talk about a Stranger, starring George Murphy, later a United States Senator, and Nancy Reagan, later the wife to an American president, and hosted by Eddie Muller, later a huge disappointment to his friends and family, is next on Turner Classic Movies.
Next on TCM, talk about a stranger, then The Nanny, and later Dead Ringer. TCM is seeing double tonight. The turning of the projector